Right after I took that picture, I remember somebody coming to me and saying, you really shouldn't be here this close, like this is a war now. And I'm not sure if I took that seriously in that moment, but I distinctly remember it, and in hindsight, that person was 100% correct. My name is Brendan Hoffman. I'm an American photographer. I live here in Kyiv, Ukraine. It's been a really interesting time to be in Ukraine. Of course, there were a lot of changes that happened sort of in the immediate aftermath, and then the first few years. Ukrainians are incredibly brave. Everyone who was out here was risking not just their sort of physical safety, but their entire future. But that's why they were here. It meant their entire future was on the line. And I can really distinctly remember being on Maidan and having this realization that literally everybody around me had so much more at stake in the outcome of these events than I did. Almost everyone on the square was a stranger to most of the other people, but that didn't matter. It didn't matter if you were, Ukrainian or American. Everybody was sort of welcome there. Instantly, there was this sort of trust and openness that was maybe the main impression that I took away from that. I remember standing up above Maidan on top of the Globus mall and watching a couple kiss just with the whole square behind them, which just felt sort of encapsulated what the mood was like at that time. In one of the pictures that I took of a guy holding up a flag with the whole barricades flaming behind him, I can really remember distinctly. That was February 19th, and right after I took that picture, I remember somebody coming to me and saying, you really shouldn't be here this close, like this is a war now. I've seen how Ukrainians have sort of embraced that picture and used that picture and remembered that picture. And so, as a non-Ukrainian, it actually does mean quite a lot to feel like I've made a picture that people here relate to and sense that it sort of captures something about that moment. I woke up in the morning, I heard sirens, which was a bit unusual, but it didn't register what that meant. And so, I had breakfast, walked outside, and was sort of stunned to see people being loaded into ambulances right in front of my hotel. That was sort of when I understood, wait a minute, something totally different is happening today. And I wasn't expecting it, I wasn't prepared for that. That was the night that the building we're in now, this trade union's building, was on fire. We were standing, just the opposite corner of the street when that happened. I probably should have felt fear, but no, I didn't, because partly because maybe it didn't register how serious things were. I didn't know the extent of what was happening yet. So I kind of wandered a bit around the square, but I slowly moved toward the Hotel Ukraine and toward the barricades there, and was able to see the full extent of what was happening. I didn't spend too long because it sort of became obvious even to me that this is a dangerous place to hang out. And so I started to make my way back and ended up sort of being pinned down with a couple other people for about 15 minutes, just right at the corner of the building, before we finally sort of decided to run around and into the lobby of the building. And then, of course, that was a whole different scene. A lot of people who had been shot were being treated by medics there, and that was a really heavy place to be. That intense moment of being stuck there in the corner of the hotel and bullets hitting the wall above my head, and so that's one of the moments that stands out, and realizing that this is very serious.